Hello and welcome to the I'm doing well. Manabar video game podcast. I'm here with Matt Samarco.
Hey, what's going on?
And no Andy today. Where is Andy, Matt? What happened?
I don't know.
You don't know?
He just didn't answer my text, didn't answer my phone calls, so
what a jerk.
we've written him off completely.
So he's out today, so it's just going to be myself and Matt.
Hey.
We got some new topics that came up, some exciting things.
It's Thursday, September 26th.
Oh, right. Yes. Date. Matt's got the date down. So,
yes. I remembered.
So yeah, we got the State of Play came out, and there was some interesting things, and there was some not so interesting things. I forget.
We'll get into it.
That's why I actually wanted to mention. There was some game. I forget. It was a one word game. I think it was like Arise. It was like this kind of. The PlayStation has that other game where it's like a side scroller. It's very peaceful.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of the name of it, but it reminded me of that. Almost like Rhyme. Mm-hmm. It was the first thing that popped up, and I think it's called Arise. You look like some guy like Santa Claus.
Okay, yeah. That wasn't the first thing that popped up, the like Humanity trailer though.
Oh, maybe it was that game. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's weird.
Is it like one of those like war simulators? You ever see that where it's like, oh, let's put 5 enemies against 1,500 like vehicles or something and see what happens?
Maybe. I mean, I think it's like by the same team that made the like Rez and Tetris Effect and all that fun stuff. So like, it could be good. It's probably like a rhythm game though.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah.
That did make sense. Because I was like, what is this? And I've seen people make those war simulator games where it's like, all right, 1,000 melee people versus like 500 with guns, and then
that trailer really told us nothing.
Yeah,
except that it's coming out next year.
Exactly. So that started off kind of like, and then I know probably you weren't super excited about it, but I was excited to see that Call of Duty's campaign trailer.
Oh yeah, I don't know. They all blend together to me. It's like the same thing.
I will admit that it did kind of blend in. Like it was like, oh, an enemy got a hold of nukes.
I feel like those are like those summer movies that you see, and you just go to them, and then if 3 months later someone asks you about anything in that movie, you'd be like, I don't know who was in it. I don't know if the protagonist was a male or a female. Like they're just super forgettable for me.
Oh, like The Rock's like Skyscraper.
Yeah, it's like what happened in Skyscraper? The Rock jumped across I don't know why he was up there so high, but it was pretty cool. That's how I feel about these games.
I was just happy to see that it looked like it's going to be in a lot of different areas. At one point, it showed like the U.S. Embassy.
At least they have a campaign this time.
Exactly. So, I mean, all the previous Call of Duty campaigns in the past, I want to say 4 iterations have been, for me, very mediocre because I really enjoyed the Modern Warfare ones. I don't know if you played them.
No, not much. Campaigns? I just kind of jump it. Like it's kind of like every 3 or 4 years I'll buy one and they'll be like, oh, this was fun, but I don't want to buy next year's.
Are so you're not interested in this Modern Warfare?
Not really. Like I tried.
So even if Andy and I get it?
Probably not. I played Black Ops and I ultimately didn't like enjoy it that much. Like I didn't play any of the multiplayer. I did play the Battle Royale mode for a while and that was kind of fun, but I didn't really get $60 out of it.
Did they actually have a team deathmatch in that game?
Yeah.
Though there was. So it wasn't just Battle Royale.
No, it was Battle Royale, Team Deathmatch, and Zombies. So it had those three. And the Zombies was... I always thought Zombies would be something I would be like... That would kind of cater to me. I don't really like the PvP as much. But for some reason, it just didn't hook me. It just seemed kind of boring.
Yeah, I remember playing one of the... I think it was Black Ops 3. I think I ended up playing that with Andy for a little bit. The Zombies was fun, but it felt kind of... Just kind of generic. And,
yeah, that's how I felt. Like it wasn't like exciting to...
Yeah, and I don't know. It didn't feel fun. It I don't know, something about it just didn't, like, just like you said, didn't jive with me very well.
So they're having like one mode of the game that's just going to be like Sony exclusive for the first year or something. Did you see that? It's
Survivor?
Like called Survival or Manhunt or something like that.
It's kind of stupid to do like the
it's weird because when you say a year in Call of Duty terms, that's like saying forever.
That's the game. Yeah, that's the like life of the game.
Next year, everyone's going to be playing Call of Duty like, I don't know, Vietnam or whatever they're going to do next year. I don't know.
Probably go old school again.
Yeah, it's going to be no one's going to care.
I didn't know it was for a year.
Yeah, it's insane.
What? That's just...
I mean, I have a PlayStation. So it doesn't affect me.
At that point, they might have seen like the multiplayer numbers and like, you know what?
Yeah. It just seems like a bummer for people
Xbox,
that own Xbox and just to kind of completely be shut off from this mode of the game, like especially if it ends up being fun.
Yeah, they usually do like... I know PlayStation, especially... I think it's the past like 2 or 3 Call of Duties, like what was it? Call of Duty had that that bonus, like, hey, you guys get multiplayer map packs like 2 weeks early or something. It's like, okay, all right, it's
it
a
wouldn't be
little
so
bit
bad
of
if
an
it was
incentive,
like 2 weeks
but
or something. But a year's
that's a killer.
That's
That's Madden 20's coming out, Madden 21.
You get a better version of the game basically if you buy it on PlayStation.
Oh my god,
presumably. Assuming that the mode is decently fun.
That also makes me worry that it's not on disc. So at that point, if it's only at that point, for PlayStation people, at that point it's not on the disc, so you can't play it. Kind of like the Spec Ops of the previous ones. Those kind of like mini missions that you could do. I don't know. I never saw the survival mode gameplay. I don't know exactly if it's like a horde mode.
Yeah, I didn't really see too much about it, but
I mean, removing anything for an entire year is, especially like you said, when it's a game that's 1 year and then kind of like forgotten, kind of like a sports game, that is kind of a kick in the teeth. I mean, I'm buying it for the campaign and then the multiplayer that Andy, said he's going to play with me. And so far I was at least enjoying that part of it. I guess I heard some sort of, article was saying something that they found when they were data mining Battle Royale. And I was like, oh God, what a shock.
Yeah, why not?
What game doesn't have it? So I don't know, maybe we can grab you in that way.
Maybe.
We'll
see. I mean,
Gamefly it.
I'm always on the fence about games until they come out, and then it kind of changes. Like, it's the same thing with Breakpoint. I've been like going back and forth between, I'm definitely going to get this game, to like not at all, to maybe I'll get it. So
I've heard
that's kind of where I end up.
I've heard the gameplay looked great on Ghost Recon, but I
hate it was just.
I heard it. Oh yeah, I heard a lot of issues.
It was just boring.
Yeah,
and it was way too much stuff. The interface was awful. It was like, I don't know, it was just crazy. I had no idea what I was doing half the time. It was not good at onboarding players, I feel like.
Did you have an issue with like the latency, like input to like actually, or did it feel like it was an offline, like you weren't?
No, it felt fine. I didn't have any latency issues. It was more just like the missions. It didn't really guide you on where to go to get all the cool upgrades that were on your inventory, like flashing like, oh, there's a mission if you do this, but we're not really going to tell you exactly how to do it. And then once I went to do like my first side mission, I just got wrecked like 5, 6, 7 times. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to stop playing this because this is not fun.
Is it still like typical normal health, or is it like The Division where it's based on like level?
That's a good question. I don't remember because I didn't get very far. So
okay, because that was another thing I was worried about. I was like, that was the problem I had with The Division. As much as it was fun, but then you'd go out in the street and there'd be a guy in a t-shirt and a hat sideways, and you'd shoot at him for about 10 minutes. It's like, what is going on? This is supposed to be realistic.
No, yeah, I think it's a little more. It's definitely more realistic than that. Like, you do have like health syringes and like bandages that you can use. So if you're like hurt, you have to either sit down for like a good 10-15 seconds to use a bandage, or if you have like a syringe, it can be quicker, but you have to you expend those so you don't have infinite. But
okay, see that I don't mind. I don't mind the survival part of it, but it as we all know, there's just online. I feel like every online game just has like died a really quick death. Anthem, just I guess last week they had some sort of
they moved it to the basic version of their online, like $30 a year instead of the $100 tier.
Exactly.
So you can play it for $30 a tier and play a bad game.
Yeah, it's just, and I mean, just a lot of these games have lived a very short life, and I feel like not only that, I feel like they risk if the game isn't super as successful as they'd hoped, you got to keep with it in order to, the fans that are happy are no longer going to be happy when you don't support it. Fallout 76. They're not going to be happy. On top of that, they're trying to poison the fans. Have you heard about that little issue?
Oh, with the
helmet?
Yeah, the Fallout 76 helmet.
There's a Fallout 76 like collectible helmet you can get from GameStop.
It's strange because it's not a helmet that actually came with any of the versions of the game. It's just like
it looks exactly. I was actually just going to get the Power Armor Edition just for the helmet, and then just get rid of all the other stuff. And then I heard this issue, and a lot of people are very panicky about some sort of fabric that's in it. Because they look identical.
Oh yeah.
So,
but yeah, it's basically basically a breeding ground for mold.
Exactly. So I was
tempted to recall them.
Oh yeah, and they're on like clearance from GameStop for like $100, and I was like, I was tempted to get the collector's edition, which supposedly doesn't have any issues, but because of that helmet having issues, and Bethesda has come out and stated that. The other one is safe. The one that from the collector's edition that you have is safe for now.
That one won't kill you.
Yeah, it won't apparently kill you. So But do be cautious if you bought the red one, the Nuka-Cola one, from GameStop exclusively. They have issued something on, I think, GameStop's website as well as Bethesda's website on how to refund it. And any GameStop will take it back, no questions asked, I guess. So be sure to do that. Don't wear it for Halloween, because as Matt said, it's like a breeding ground there.
So back to the state of play.
Yes.
What did you think of the Death Stranding? I mean, it wasn't long. It was basically just like an announcement of a console version.
So it's like this weird, unfortunately, with the wonderful thing of podcasts, you can't see a picture. But if you go online and you post or you search for,
If you think hard enough, you can see it. Just
exactly. Just think. Maybe it's kind of like the what's it called? The whole Death Stranding. It's like a different dimension. So,
Who knows what's going on?
I know. I don't even know. I've been trying to talk to my wife about this too. I'm like, what do you think? And she's like, my brain hurts. I'm like, I know, me too. But yeah. So it looks. So if you haven't seen it yet, type it in Death Stranding, PlayStation 4 Pro Collector's Edition. It literally is a white PlayStation 4 Pro, and it has a handprint on it, or a few handprints on it. Immediately, I thought of the collector's edition of Infamous Second Son, which exactly has a white box handprint, like ink, and in a yellowish color. And in this case, the color or the controller looks like the color of like the BB pods, which if you haven't been following the Death Stranding, the BB pods is like where the babies are, like the incubated, the incubated babies are like coming in. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Dude, I have no idea. I don't know what's happening with this game. I mean, it seems like every time there's a big game, I mean, they'll probably have this with The Last of Us. They kind of have it with everything they do, with this like new, and they're always pushing it's always a pro version now. But I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. It's just not for me. I'm more into just, my regular black. I just like the
simple one.
Yeah, I feel like I could just buy a bunch of more games for that money as opposed to spending it on like this cool collector's edition. But I guess it's for, if you're like a super, super huge Kojima fan, maybe you'd be into it. But
when I heard that there was a Death Stranding like special edition PlayStation 4, I was like, mine is kind of getting to the the 1 terabyte, or what is it, the few years, and I was like, I can maybe shift mine to Amy and my wife, and then maybe I'll get it. And then I saw it, and I'm just like,
And also, like, the more I see about this game itself, the less I'm excited. Like, I have to play it just to know and be part of the zeitgeist and understand what Hideo was thinking. But every time I see it, I'm like, this looks boring.
I do the same thing, but then I went back and somebody, I think IGN or whatever, has compiled all the trailers in one, and I'm no longer watching the actual trailer. I'm looking in the background of the trailer because I'm so curious, because I want a world. I want like something to explore besides the land. I don't want it to be like No Man's Sky, because that game was boring. It was the same repetitive thing over and over again. And if it's
running around giant empty fields with like ladders to get you across caverns.
That's neat, but that's always neat when you see it in a commercial. But then when you're doing it, it's just
fun for 5 minutes, and then you're like, well,
exactly.
now what do I actually do?
Like the baby crying, and I'm like, that's neat, but that I know the second time around that is going to be irritating, and it's going to be crying in the middle of a fight, and I mean,
yeah, that sounds god awful.
Exactly. So I hope it's just kind of maybe you get like a small stat bonus, like maybe I didn't see, there was a list of like, I think it was like maybe 12 things, different stats that affect you, like balance and stamina and all these things. And I'm wondering if maybe there's like kind of a silly stat, because I know
a silly stat.
A silly stat.
Seven silly.
Exactly. Just. This one, I don't know, it maybe it's luck. It almost like Fallout, where it was luck, or Elder Scrolls, that, you just have that little bit more of a chance to do a little bit of bonus damage or something like that. Or, I don't know, maybe you reload a little bit faster. Just something silly. Just exactly what you said. Something silly. So it's not impeding and not getting in the way. I mean, I'm not buying this to be, an adult babysitter simulator. I'm hearing a lot of things about walking simulators, and it's I don't want that.
I don't even trust that. Like, who knows what this game's gonna be? The trailer, like, none of them, like Norman Reedus, maybe he's not even in the game. Like, it's such a stupid. Like, Hideo's so annoying with his trailers that like it could be a complete 180. Like, oh, this is actually Metal Gear 6. Me and Konami are on the ups again. Like, it could be just a completely different game. It could be just all like a facade. Who knows?
Oh, I've heard some ridiculous things like "You're the baby. You're not Norman Reedus," and I'm like, "No, please don't do this to me."
You're the latter.
Yeah, you already kicked me in the face while I was down with Metal Gear Solid 5's ending. For me personally, I don't know if anybody else, but
I guess we'll just kind of have to. Wait and see what other.
I get glimmers of hope because if you saw, I don't know if you've seen all the trailers.
I saw a few of them and then I kind of fell off of it because I was like, this looks so uninteresting.
All right, they had confusing. The one where it was I can't think of the he's the producer, like the movie producer, Del Toro.
Yes.
And he's the one holding the bridge baby, and then above him is the World War II, and it looks like almost like a city, almost like Saving Private Ryan, like that city that's like half destroyed. I think it was like in Germany or something, but it looks like kind of a city, even if it's demolished, but it's something to explore, like buildings and enemies and things. Excuse me. Still getting over this damn cold. And then on top of that, there's another trailer where I guess it's that woman Fatigue or something. She has that umbrella.
Dude, I have no idea.
I know she's the one that
I gave up way too.
I know she's the one that like eats that bug in the middle of the trailer. But behind her,
sure. Oh, of course.
Behind her in one of the trailers, there's a huge city, and I'm like, ooh, like all right, if there's like a few cities, like even Breath of the Wild, like yeah, it was a lot of exploring. But there still was, the big cities, the big towns. There was something. There was enemies. There was little camps of like those goblins or whatever. There was something.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be stuff. But...
I'm hoping. And I mean, he could be throwing me for a loop. Someone told me that like all the trailers for Metal Gear Solid 2 showed Snake. Solid Snake is like the main character
he was
and stuff.
Like, throughout the whole game.
And I was like, how?
They switched him out.
And I want to go see those previous trailers because I was like, that tanker mission was only like, what? Like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't even know how you could, stretch that into trailers.
I think they just put like his Solid Snake's body into like they just kind of replaced the assets, so it looked like it was him in the tanker. But,
oh my god.
So like that's why I'm saying who knows what these trailers could be complete BS. But anyway, so let's so the last thing that was kind of important of the state of play was The Last of Us 2. We finally got a release date, February 21st, 2019. That trailer gave me like flashbacks to Red Dead Redemption because the very beginning was like on a horse and it kind of had that slow, methodical look to it. And I was like, oh God, please don't be like this. Please don't be Red Dead 2. So I'm kind of very cautious about what it's going to be. And then there was that big reveal at the end with Joel, who's going to be in it.
Yes, he's alive. I thought they were going to kill him
without
off.
me or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, I thought that was really cool. The trailer looked great. It looks like it's going to be like over the top, like violent. She's like, I don't care. Pretty much, if what I'm going up against, I'm going to fight this. I don't even technically remember what she's fighting now.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, they were just kind of
Yeah, it's kind of like walked away. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything for people that haven't beat it, but the ending kind of it kind of makes you feel like okay, and they almost didn't even need a sequel. I mean, I'm glad they have one. I mean, I don't even know the style of game. I don't know if this is going to be semi-open world. I don't know if you've heard anything about.
I don't know.
That.
I've heard that it's much bigger. The developers
were
saying
2 discs.
Oh wow!
It's shipping on 2 discs. I heard that the other day. I'm like, oh my god!
I heard
maybe it is Red Dead.
Yeah, some interview or something, and they were saying it's like the biggest game they've ever made by far. It's much bigger than the first game, so I imagine it'll be a long story. Hopefully, it'll be kind of open world to do. Like I love doing side quests and stuff in any sort of action game like that. So
I can't even remember playing the first one. The first one did not have. They only had like collectibles and things like that. It was mostly linear.
Yeah, it was
if I remember
mostly,
right.
Yeah.
There was some, that you got those medallions from the Fireflies, But that's all I could really remember.
Well, you can play it next week because it's one of the 2 free PlayStation Plus games next month.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
maybe
The Last
you and
of
Andy
Us,
can
the
download the
remastered
other free
edition.
one, the MLB The Show.
Yeah, I was
Whoops.
laughing when that came up. I was thinking of you. I'm like, oh my god, is that the one you've been playing? The one,
Yes.
the most current one?
Yep. And now,
Funny.
well,
Now
it's
it's
actually
free.
good because I'm only going to play that probably for another 3 months until the baseball season's over.
Is the new one out yet, or is it coming out soon?
That is no. This is MLB 19 is like the newest one. So I'm actually very surprised they're doing it now,
Yeah, I was
especially
gonna
with
say,
the playoffs
I'm
coming.
surprised if the new one. I assumed like 20 would be coming out soon, and this would be a.
No, typically they try and build the excitement with like football, hockey. They do it like a month before. They do the demo and stuff like that. But the only good news about this is I'm just gonna trade in mine because now, I mean, you have it as long as you have PlayStation Plus, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So at that point, I'm just gonna trade it in, the physical edition,
Yeah.
and then just play the digital one. And I'm probably gonna have PlayStation Plus for another year at least. So I'll get my use out of it. I'll get most of my money back that I paid for it. So actually, kind of was a blessing in disguise. So I was like, all right, sweet.
Trade it in quick.
Yeah, I'll trade it in towards.
But yeah, it's a pretty good month for PlayStation Plus because I feel like they've been kind of getting better the last couple of months. They had Batman last month, and now they have
Detroit Become Human.
Yeah, and now Last of Us.
Yeah,
the first one, the PS4 remastered version.
What was the games that people were like really upset about to the point where they were like, I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. These aren't the real ones.
There was like a soccer
what was
game that came out that they had to replace with. That's the one they replaced with the one you just mentioned.
Oh, Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit. Just because I think some people were saying just because of the backlash, because people were like, we don't want a soccer game.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm surprised baseball.
I mean,
well,
yeah.
maybe the playoffs, but I thought that was kind of funny because I heard a lot of backlash. I'm like, I mean, I didn't technically sign up for PlayStation Plus for the free games, but I mean, I know they were trying to compete with Xbox because Xbox it was kind of neat. They had like typically 1 or 2 backwards compatible games, and then kind of like, well, it was like Gears of War and Gears of War again, and it was just like always throwing out like the old Halo ones, or one of those like first party titles. What's it? Halo Wars, Halo Reach. They were always throwing one of those out. But so was there anything that disappointed you about the state of play? Anything that you were hoping for? I mean, obviously not more Death Stranding stuff.
Kind of the whole thing was disappointing to me because even the games that were kind of big, Last of Us, I'm not a huge Last of Us fan. I'm not a huge Death Stranding fan. So,
you mean you're not going to get the LE $239?
No, I am not.
Oh my god!
I'll probably just get the basic version. Like I did enjoy it, but I feel like it's not. For me, it's not as good as everyone kind of makes it out to be. Like the best game of this generation. I'm just like it's a better than average game.
It's a very great,
but it's not a 10 for me.
Yes, I agree. I think it was a little overblown, and I think that maybe because of the some of the gut wrenching hits that it has, but.
It has some good story points, but it's so linear, and the action's good, but it's not the best.
Yeah, the control it's kind of clunky a little bit when you're playing. I mean, it's almost like golf. Like when you miss with your friggin' with a bullet, you want to have a heart attack. You're like, oh my god, how am I gonna get that ammo back? Now I'm gonna have to beat him with a shovel, or not a shovel, the bat. And then you end up wasting all those stuff on the damn clickers. You're like, oh great, now I have no shivs left to defend myself. But I mean, yeah, it was an excellent game. I just like the same thing. I don't know how you felt about Uncharted, but I thought
I played those much after the fact. I actually enjoyed them a lot.
I liked them, but I felt like the first 2 were just no. I'm sorry, I'll take it. The first 3 were just the same stereotypical thing. Or I shouldn't say stereotypical, but okay. All right, this is like 10 years old, so I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil a little bit of this. But, he's always looking for this treasure, and then at the end of the game, it's like this, like, monster that's, like, chasing you. It happened in the first one. It happened in the second one with those, like, crazy, like, mutated things. But then they were just, like, wearing a mask, and they were, like, steroid.
Seem out of place in those games. And I played them all back to, because I never had a PlayStation 3, so I eventually played them all back to back in like a collection of the first 3 and then the 4th one. And it does feel like the same game. There is a kind of
at least the first 2. Then the third one kind of went away.
There's kind of a marked difference between the first one and the other ones because like the quality definitely improves, like a big jump into the second one, and then it's just kind of like more of the same, but it's more of the good same. So
yeah, I mean, Uncharted 4. Did you play that?
Yes.
Uncharted 4 blew me away. I was very impressed because I figured they would have the same type of thing. Like, oh boy, like it's the brother of Nathan Drake that's come out of nowhere. Like, all right, he's obviously gonna be, this, and then they happily threw me for a loop, and I was very, very impressed. The game was gorgeous. I'm pretty sure it played like 60 frames per second.
It was great.
And the details on it were absolutely incredible. I mean, as always, that they get I feel like Naughty Dog is one of those great games that they just really do well with banter. I'll give them that.
Did you ever play The Lost Legacy? The like kind of side.
Yes, the one with the two women.
Yeah, the two kind of side. Sidekick girls.
Yes, that was actually really good. And it was
yeah.
kind of a semi-open world where you could.
There was a big area that was open.
Exactly. Kind of like the Gears of War situation that just happened with 5. That you could decide like which one you wanted to go to. Both characters were really neat. It was kind of interesting that I think it was Nadine, was one of the characters. I can't think of the other lady. But she was actually
too long ago.
I can't think of it. Oh, it begins with a C for some reason. But
who knows?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna.
So did you did you ever? Because there's one last thing I want to talk about on the State of Play was the medieval announcement. So they had like a little
demos. Is available now?
They announced like a demos available now. I actually downloaded it and played it. I never played the original on the PlayStation.
Neither did I.
Yeah, like I was always a fan of Crash Bandicoot and a bunch of other of those kind of like first person character games. But I never played this one, and I played the demo last night, and it didn't really pull me in. It just seems like such a I feel like the Crash Bandicoot games age pretty well, the action and platforming. I don't feel like the same can be said for this, or at least in the first level. It just felt like very clunky, the controls of like moving your sword, and it's just like, okay, here's 24 just generic zombies coming towards you, and you just kill them, and then there's really no trouble in killing them, and then okay, we'll move on to the next thing. You do get there's a special hat that you can only get in the game if you beat the demo, and it's or play the demo, and it's it like makes the game harder, which is kind of strange. Like you can equip it, and it's like all the enemies are harder, which is kind of strange. But
oh man, that's kind of like one of those like Dark Souls things. There's items that you can use, and it makes everyone within that area like harder and more difficult. It's like, why would you torture yourself?
Maybe it's a thing that's only for people that really enjoy the game growing up. Like, I don't know, maybe if people didn't play Crash Bandicoot, they would be like, these are kind of boring, but...
Yeah, I did hear about Medieval, and I pre-ordered it, but then I realized that there's 2 games coming out on the same day. So, I've been kind of...
Is it October 25th it's coming out?
So, God. Same thing as Outer... Oh, God, I always get it mixed up. There's Outer Wilds and Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
One of them is like the Fallout New Vegas made by Obsidian. I think it's Outer Worlds. I want to say that.
Yes.
So that comes out that day, and Call of Duty comes out that day. And unfortunately, they're 2 very different types of games, and which means I'm going to want both of them on day 1, and going to want to play the heck out of both of them.
Yep. You can play The Last of Us like a week before Final Fantasy VII Remake, because all the games have to come out at the same time.
Oh, crap. I just realized that. Oh, man.
Yeah, they were kind of cruel that way.
Oh, man. I might have to postpone Last of Us 2 then. Oh, man. Well, Last of Us 2, no.
You just have like 10 days to beat it.
It's pretty linear.
Yeah.
Wait, which one comes out first?
Last of Us comes out the 21st, and then February 21st, and then Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out March 3rd.
All right. I can do it. I can do that.
You got a solid 10 days in between them, or something like that.
Okay, I can do that.
Close to that.
The only thing I was a little sad about on the State of Play was I was hoping for a little bit more of Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, I'm surprised. They've been kind of like tight-lipped about that game ever since they initially released it.
They showed that gameplay trailer, which looks great. It looks like an open world like Sekiro. Probably not as difficult, I'm guessing, because it's an exclusive. They probably want it to be kind of user-friendly. But yeah, I mean, I probably shouldn't complain, considering this is probably gonna... The way they've been going, it seems like every 5 months there's a big Sony exclusive, or at least something, really good coming out. I mean, Days Gone. I can't remember the last. I mean, Death Stranding. Mm-hmm. What am I talking about? Death Stranding, and then a few months later is going to be The Last of Us, and I'm guessing maybe they don't want to, suck out the hype from Death Stranding and Ghost of Tsushima. So at that point, maybe they're teetering on the edge of, hey, maybe this is a PS5.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
day 1.
A lot of games seem to be kind of pushing into that first quarter of next year, almost like they're getting out of the way. Because I imagine, sometime between March and May, we'll get the PlayStation. Oh, here it is. Here's the PlayStation 5, and at that point, it's just going to be hard for them to sell more PS4s
4
or
games,
even PlayStation 4 games, because everyone's just going to want to hear about the new games, what's the new launch lineup and all that stuff.
That's a good point. So yeah, and I mean, it seems like PlayStation has been pumping out the exclusives really well. But other than that, for State of Play, I don't know if there was any other things that jumped out at you.
Nope.
All right, so around the house is what you've been playing this week.
So I've been playing a lot of Borderlands 3 still.
I saw you at level 50. Is that the cap?
50 is the cap.
Oh,
so I when last we spoke, I had just finished that campaign. I was like 40 something. Now I'm at 50. You do unlock, once you beat the campaign, even before you get to level 50, you unlock the kind of like I forget what it's called. It's the equivalent of the badass ranks of the old ones.
Oh, you can unlock that before you beat the game.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
so you actually,
cool.
it's kind of cool because at that point you're leveling up basically 2 bars, like an experience bar and like a that little, well, I'm just going to call it badass rank because I forget what they changed the name, but I forget what they call it. And it's basically like the same thing. You get, every time you level up, you get like there's a separate tree in your inventory, like 3 trees that you can shoot
it's not just a elemental chance plus.
Well, it is that, but then every time you level up, you get to choose between like one of 6 random attributes. Like it'll be like critical hit plus, gun damage plus, or fight for your life time goes up. So you choose one of those, and then it depending on what category that falls into, there's 3 different tiers of tree that you can go down. So if you keep putting points into like say attack or something, it'll make your character stronger, and you'll eventually get like plus 10 damage when you're in fight for your life mode, or like a bunch of other attributes. So there is like more to it than just getting those like small attribute bonuses.
Oh, that's actually fun. I mean, I bought the season pass with it.
Things. Yeah, me too.
So I mean, this game, I feel like, Gearbox, I feel like, I don't know if you played any of the season, or I shouldn't say season pass, but the DLC from the previous ones.
Yeah, I did in the last ones. They were actually good.
Yeah, they were a lot of content. They had a ton of guns. They had like a lot of stuff that I felt they actually validated the money, that I gave them. And there's very few companies that really do a good job with DLC. I feel like they get the money and they're like, let's half-ass it. But Gearbox does a good job, so I was like, you know what? I'm a sucker for the Steelbook. I'm going to get the Steelbook. I'm going to get the season pass. I'm just going to use it. Why not? It comes with some pretty good goodies, like right away. I don't know what edition you got.
I got the Super Deluxe edition.
The gold one. So the $100 one? Okay. That's what I got as well.
Stupid sucker.
I know. But the Steelbook is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
They did a great job with the previous DLCs. So I figured with this game, I was like, it plays really well.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. They have so once you get to the end game, there's basically 2 major things. Well, there's 3 things you can do. You can do Proving Grounds, which are kind of like small. If you've ever played Destiny, it's like a strike. It's like 2 or 3 rooms of enemies, and then you fight a boss at the end, and you get like a bunch of gear. They're kind of short enough so that they're actually timed where you want to try to beat it in 30 minutes or less. Or I don't think you get like all the rewards if you don't beat it in 30 minutes. And then there's kind of like a horde mode. There's like 3 levels of horde mode that you can do with people. And then you can always go back and play again on the true Vault Hunter mode, which is basically like everything caters to your level. So even the first mission is going to be level 50 if you're level 50, and it's much harder. And then they also have like this Mayhem mode that you can do. So there's Mayhem 1, 2, and 3, and you can just turn it on from your ship, and it's basically like in Diablo 3, they had the different hell levels where it's just like much harder and there's much better rewards, but there's like different attribute effects in an entire area.
Oh, wow.
That
That's actually pretty awesome. So they did a really good job with content on this.
Yeah, it is. So I'm playing it now. I was trying to get the platinum for a little while, and the only problem I'm having right now is like I'll be going into these like horde mode matches or the Proving Grounds, and because I'm level 50, if you play with people that are say like level 25 or 30, like basically you all get matched in the same group. What they do is they make those people that are lower level, they kind of match them to your level, so they can at least hold their own, but you can notice they're markedly not as powerful as you.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm trying to do these difficult, there's like one specific horde mode mission that I'm trying to do that's specifically hard, and I feel like every time I get into a group with other people, they're just dying left and right because it's so difficult, and it's not their fault. They're level like 23, and it's just they're in a level 50 zone, so it's kind of a bummer that I don't feel like, even though they say everyone can play with everyone no matter how much you play.
Yeah, you're gonna be the anchor on the team. Yeah, dragging everyone down.
You got to be at least like level 50 to play with your 50 friends, or it's gonna be a little bit harder. So,
if you give me about another week, I'll be 50.
You be 50,
and then slowing down a little bit.
And then we'll do it together.
So, no, I'm loving it. I am flying through.
Yeah, me too.
I love. I just got to this. I'm not going to spoil any story, but there's a really cool it's like a giant mansion that I
Yeah,
just
that
got
was
to
cool.
Jacob's house.
Yeah, yeah.
That is really cool. I was like, oh, it's kind of like this. It's a giant like house, this giant level, and I've always felt like Borderlands was like always outside. So this was like a neat change for me because it was like you're like out in the jungle, and all of a sudden it's like this giant mansion.
Did you get to the boss in that area yet?
I got to something called the Anointed, which was a giant pain in the ass because every gun I had, he was immune to. And I guess he's one of those giant, like, I forget the enemy type, but like when you shoot their head, like a small like skull comes out and they like start like screaming at you and just like running at you. I can't think of the name, but they're really tough. And he kept like zipping all around, and he would like at some point he like bangs on the ground, and there's this like surrounding circle that like it just
it's brutal.
expands, and it can. And not only is it on the
For
ground,
sure one
but
of the hardest
sometimes it's in the
bosses.
air.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to avoid sometimes.
Exactly, and
depending on where
every
you are.
time you're turning around to run away from him, you can't see like where it is, so you can't tell like you're kind of like jumping up and down doing like a duck thing. But what was really frustrating was when I started to whittle him down because I kept using all these different things. Like I used cryo against him, immune. Then there was another type of bullet. He was immune to it. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So the only other weapon I had was like some corrosive thing that finally was doing damage to him. I was like, all right, I can whittle him down. But I guess the way he was shooting around the room and disappearing and reappearing, he got stuck in a wall. And I couldn't kill him. I couldn't hit him.
Man.
So I had him like probably halfway down.
You had to
and then
restart?
I had to restart because he was stuck in the
sucks.
wall. I was like, no. And then I was freaking out because the little picture, as I was walking out, the little picture showed up, or the little save icon showed up. So I was like, oh, please do not tell me that like I have to revert to like a save like way back. But no, luckily I just had to basically go back and reload it from like the travel point, and he was back, but he gained all his health back. I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, they're pretty good about the quick saves. Like, I don't think you can really lose any of your items or anything if something happens and it crashes or there's like an error and you have to get out, but you do have to kind of fight the boss again, which is annoying. There was like a couple times during the entire campaign where there was little glitches like that where I'd have to like restart because
you were saying that, and at that time I was like, I haven't had any issues. Just when this week I've had a bunch of those issues.
It was infrequently, but it was still kind of annoying when you're like, oh, the mission marker is just not on my map for some reason. And it's kind of frustrating because at first you're like, am I just missing something? Am I doing it wrong? So you got to kind of beat your head against it for 20 minutes and then be like, oh, I got to just restart and try that. And then it's like, oh, okay, it just wasn't working.
Yeah, I had that with Jacob's where at one point it was like, go here. And then when I went to the Jacob's house, it disappeared when I went in the house. And I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And it was the Jacobs guy standing there, and it's that like green thing like in his hand. But I didn't even notice it. I was looking around. I'm like, am I supposed to talk to Hammerlock? Am I supposed to talk to this other guy over here? What am I supposed to do? And I kept like teleporting back and forth to like the main area, and unfortunately, it didn't trigger until I like kind of like glanced. I was like, oh, there's that stupid. I gotta give him the damn item. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. But like, other than that, I am enjoying the heck out of the game a lot. One of the gripes I had with the previous games is all the guns looked absolutely ridiculous. There was nothing that was like a little bit realistic about some of the guns. And I don't mind that in like a Mass Effect, but I don't know, something about a first person game. I don't want something that looks like it has basically like 5 like knives like glued to it. And it's just weird. So finally with this game, you're able to have like a custom gun skin. And I love like making all my gun skins like the gold that you got.
It's funny I didn't mention that because that's so unintuitive about how to even do that I never figured out how to do it until like the end of the game. So I've actually never used it. Like, don't you have to go select the gun and then press like R3 or something?
Yeah, and then
like
you go into inspect. Which you think in most games is just looking at it.
They don't show you anywhere to do that or like how to do it. It's
so I the only reason I saw that was because I had the box on my my table in front of me, and I looked at it and it said gold weapon skins, and I was like, yeah, usually they give that to you at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I gotta Google this because this is one big thing that I wanted. And then I noticed it was like where you can buy them, and I was like, no, you can equip them, obviously, if you can buy them. And then it was just like, oh, go into your menu and hit inspect. I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there was like the little trinkets that you can add. I don't know if you know that too.
Yeah. That took me less
Yeah.
time, but I still didn't catch that until like 5 or
but
10
it's
hours
not
in.
very like, hey, use your trinkets.
Yeah, it's just in your inventory, but you have to like press left to this tiny
Yeah.
little box next to your gun, and then you can equip the trinket from there. Because it's not even in your inventory or anything, so you wouldn't see it if you were just searching.
Exactly. It was just something like when you use like
And the little trinket, it's these like fun little like kind of like those little lanyards you'd have like in high school with the little things coming off of your backpack where there's like a little alien on a string or whatever.
Yeah, and I just have all of them are claptrap just dangling around. I was like, I don't care if it's not like ultra rare or whatever. I was like, I don't care. I just want the little claptrap jingling around. No, I was, like I said, I'm most impressed by this game. All the other ones, I just, something was dragging me down. It was a little bit boring, but just something about this game. I also love the fact that it seems like every gun I'm getting in this game is worth a lot of money now. So I just keep increasing the size of like my backpack so that
Yeah, it's cool. Like they give you that.
ton.
Yeah, there is like a way for you to, even if you played a lot, like I've played a bunch, but there's still a lot for me to buy as far as just like, upgrading how many bullets I can carry for my handgun or my machine gun, or how much inventory I can have in my bank, or how much inventory I can have in my regular backpack. So
Can you do anything with the bank? Can you level those guns up, or is it literally just to keep them?
It's just to keep them. You can like upgrade how many spots you can have, and then you can give those to like a new character that's
Okay, so all right, so
it's
wait,
like
it's not just for
account-wide,
it's not for just like cosmetic, like putting it on the wall. It's actually for
Yeah.
something like, okay, that's actually pretty cool. I did not know that, because at first I was like, oh, I like this weapon, and then I come back after like 3 missions, and it's like, oh, that's item score like 100, and
Yeah, you
mine's
kinda
at
out-level
200.
it.
So what's the point? So yeah, I felt like that was kind of useless. The other question I had for you, because I have this one slot that's just stuck, and I can't, I don't know what it is, and I'm level 27 maybe.
Yeah,
And
the
it's
last one in the inventory
what is
screen.
this?
It's like the artifact. So
Okay.
you don't.
I think I did one of those like jackpot things,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I got it, and it was worth a ton of money. I was like, what is this? And it was like a common thing, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about it. I just kind of like put it in my inventory. Pretty sure I accidentally sold it, but I was like, yeah, what is this? And I keep wanting to check, but I'm like, I don't want to ruin some sort of story or something.
Yeah, it's based on storyline, so it's not like it has nothing to do with what level you are. It's like at some point in the story, you just unlock. It's kind of that way for all of them. You unlock the ability to use these so you get class mods at some point. You already have that, right?
Yes.
And then the last one, which I remember being like, wow, I'm pretty far into this game and I still haven't unlocked this. It's kind of strange how long it takes for you to get that. But it's like just a little artifact modifier. And I've been using the same one I got. Like all my gear is like level 50, except for this one item I have is level 32. Because a lot of them will be like, okay, if you do a melee punch, it'll give you like 80% radiation plus damage, or like just little small things like that. A lot of it's to your melee and like your slides, which is kind of strange. It's like not really like, oh, you're shooting a lot better. So it's just weird things like that. And the one I'm using is it gives you like you slide and you shoot a snowball at the guy in front of you, which is weird. But the better part is your slides make you move 70% faster.
All right, so that would be beneficial.
Yeah, I'm just like running around everywhere. Like if I need to get out of somewhere, I just slide and I just fly out of there. It's been super helpful, much better than like any sort of damage modifier on a punch or something.
I was gonna say, I don't think I've ever in the probably 20 hours I played slid into some character. I think I would have to retrain the way I play.
Yeah, it does.
It does slide tackle.
It kind of homes into them a little too, so you don't have to like aim it really precisely. You just kind of have to be in their general direction, and the snowball will kind of go towards them. But I'm not even sure if it does a lot of damage. The only time I ever used it was really to just like get somewhere faster. Like even if I wanted to get across the map and I didn't have a car with me, like I could just slide and it would be a lot faster than just running, which was kind of nice.
Oh, that's neat. I mean, just any kind of additional, because I can see at this point, if I played the rest of the game, I would kind of want that extra, like, give me a little something extra, maybe,
Sprint.
I don't know, they already have the weapon skins, but just one more thing to work towards. And then I saw that empty slot, and I was like, all right, there's got to be something, it's got to be something, fun, interesting. And I was hoping it wasn't something just kind of cosmetic. So I'm glad it was something interesting. But
and then they have so next month they're gonna have like that Halloween event.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're adding. So this is actually, you don't have to have the season pass. It's just kind of free for everyone. So there's going to be like an extra mission, and there's going to be a new boss, and there's going to be like a new modifier.
Oh, actually, like in the main campaign?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm not sure if it's like, it's not. It might be like a side mission or something. It's not going to be like part of the main storyline or anything like that. But there's like a new modifier. Like there's the cryo and all those ones. There's like a new one for like it was like terror or fear or something like that.
Oh, that's
so
actually a good
so
idea.
it's kind of cool that they added that, and they're gonna have new weapons and new stuff for you to collect, which is nice. And then I think we have to wait until like probably at least a few months for the first expansion, which is kind of a bummer. Like I wish they would come out with those faster, but I feel like every time that happens, they get yelled at for.
Not why it wasn't.
Why
in
isn't
the
this
game.
in the game? But
exactly. No, I mean that. Like I said, I'm having a blast with it right now, and this is only like the single player strictly by myself. I mean, now if you play it, are you playing it again? Like new game?
I did.
Plus?
I was kind of playing the True Vault Hunter mode for a little while. I'm not very far into it. I'm like maybe 2 hours into it just for fun. But I'm probably gonna try to play through that at some point. Like just if I have no other game to play, just because it's such a fun game to just play. Like
it is.
It's
it
like
really
I don't
is.
really care about the story or anything like that, but it's just got really nice gunplay.
Yeah, it does. It feels really good. But so do you go like once you hit 50? Is it 51, 52, or is it like
No,
50?
it caps at 50, and then you use your like badass guardian rank to go up higher than that.
Oh, all right.
Even in True Vault.
Well, because I was wondering if at some point, Andy finishes it or gets to 50 and I get to 50, if we hopped into whatever your game or something, would that make, would we be able to even remotely handle ourselves?
Yeah, I think so. Because I mean, the only advantage I would have at that point would be any sort of like badass rank I have above you guys, which I mean, and obviously I'd have more time to get maybe some better weapons, but I don't think it would be that big of a difference at that point, because those badass ranks are nice, but like a lot of them aren't that great. Like every time the first time you get critical hit damage increase for your gun, it'll be like 1% increase.
Then
but
it's
every
like
time,
0.1 or
then it's like
something
0.9, then it's 0.8. Like it just kind of has diminishing returns. So you can, I think I heard somewhere that it caps out at 15%. I can't confirm that, but I mean that would make sense because it just gets such diminishing returns.
You're doing 100% damage.
Yeah, exactly. And then
regular
like
damage.
I've been putting a lot of points into like there's one that's just like a luck booster, so I have like plus 8% like luck to get harder like rarer items, which is nice too.
Oh yeah, I'm always trying to find. I would love that as my that extra slot,
Artifact?
like just like a bonus, like chance to find better loot. Because I think when I did it with the previous Borderlands, I think 2, that was one of like the special editions. It was like you have a constant like 5% chance to find rarer, like one level higher loot than what you found. So if you found green,
Yeah, I had that
be
up to level 10.
Exactly. So I had that for one. I pretty much just kept it like permanently because I was like, I always want like just the better loot.
I'm kind of glad they don't have that at the higher levels, because I remember I was playing Diablo 2 and they had a similar thing where you could have like magic find on an item and it would increase your chance to get rare items. But then I feel like the whole game I'm just playing with this magic find gear to get better gear that I'm not going to use because I need to keep the magic find gear on so I can get better gear. It's just like
so it's just never-ending cycle of finding gear and getting rid of it.
Horrible cycle of like not using the good gear I have because I want to find better gear.
That is a good point. I didn't even think of that. I think it was like 5%, so it wasn't too bad. But like I said, if most of them are just like slide tackle stuff, I might just be like, you know what, 5%. I'll just, because I don't know about you, but I'm also struggling in this game. Like I'm beating bosses and I'm not getting legendaries, or I'm pretty sure on like in 20 hours, I have only found 4 legendaries.
Yeah, they don't bring them on very hard, and like
no, not even epics, and all the epics like aren't even as good as the item I have, especially shields. Like I'm pretty sure I've changed my shield and my grenade twice.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Like I had a shield that
upgrades.
I never upgraded for like the longest time, and because it had this sweet power where once you used up your shield, it would like automatically instantly recharge to full just once, and then it would, if you didn't...
you hit that, was a timer buffer or something?
Yeah, and then there was like 20-second buffer. So it was like no one could kill me because I would just get full ammo and then health, and then as long as I didn't lose it all again in 20 seconds, I would get full armor again. So, but I finally got one that was just so much higher that I had to switch it. But I kind of feel the same way. Like I'm getting better. I was getting better guns for a while, and none of them were like... You kind of want to have that feeling of like, oh, this gun is so much better than the guns I have, which I haven't had yet, at least at the end game. Like I'm still like looking for a much better gun. Like I'm most of the guns I'm using aren't legendaries because, like you said, even with the legendaries, some of them can just be not that great, not that fun to use.
They say they do better damage, and then you use it. Like I had some torque like corrosive one. It said it was like, oh, 300 item score, and I use it, and it just shoots this really, really slow ball of like corrosive thing. And not only was I not able to like hit the target, especially from like far away, but it just, when I hit him, it still wasn't doing the damage. So
yeah, you can't really pay attention to the item score because I feel like that's kind of, it's not really a good indicator of how good the weapon is.
Yeah,
I've noticed at least. Like, it's just kind of, you kind of gotta look at like how much damage it does and how fast it can shoot.
Exactly.
And that's
like
pretty
damage
much
per second seems like it's huge.
And then you have to pay attention. You can look up like charts about, you know, how much corrosive damage does to shields and how much fire damage does to flesh, because like it does make a big difference. And then like your flesh weapon, your fire like burning weapon might do less damage to shields or something. So if you don't even think about that, which I didn't for most of the game, like you will end up doing much less damage if you're using one of those special guns on a guy that it's like strong against it.
Oh yeah, no, I've been having the problem where whatever it is, like, what do they have? The shield, and then they have
Shields,
what's the
and
yellow,
armor.
like the metal.
I think that's just called armor.
It's
It's
just
like
armor, yeah.
shields and armor, which is sort of the same thing.
Yeah,
But
whenever those drop off, I'm like, oh, that went quick, and then the health for some reason just takes forever.
Yeah.
There was always these guys with these machine guns, and you knock their thing down. You're like, oh, this is, their health's just gonna fly down. They're gonna be dead, and then out of nowhere, it's just like the armor goes away and the health is just like staying there. It's like I'm switching guns. I'm using, you know, cryo. I'm using all this stuff, even though cryo seems like it works against everything really well. For me, I found some like submachine gun ones that I've typically like put these guys like immediately into like frozen status, and at that point you just run up and punch them and break them into pieces.
Yeah,
and I'm
nice.
like, oh, cryo is awesome. Doesn't work well against bosses, but then again, I feel like nothing does. So some of these bosses are really friggin' hard. There was like some sphere thing that, oh my god, like it was moving around wicked fast, and I was like, I'm getting hit from every freaking angle. If it wasn't for my pet, you know, aggroing pretty much all his attention, I'm pretty sure I would have got my ass kicked.
Yeah, a lot of those bosses, like they look interesting, but it all kind of seems to just boil down to like running as fast as you can away from it at all points, like circle strafing around the entire boss, and then like trying to just recover. Well, you know, after he gets a big hit on you. But yeah,
exactly.
There's no like
that's what I was
crazy
struggling with
strategies
this
for them.
one. And I'm just like, pet, go over here. Like I get all his attention because I'm obviously getting my ass kicked. But no, other than that, it's been I've been enjoying the heck out of Borderlands 3. It seems like all three of us have. But anything else that you've been playing? Back to World of Warcraft, or
okay, so I'll my quick World of Warcraft check-in. I'm level 43. I think last week I was 40. Like it's the biggest thing I would say now is it's slowing down. I'm playing a little less than I was the first couple weeks, but it slows down a lot more than I even remembered. Like I knew it was kind of a slow haul, especially at the end, but man, like it's I used to be able to get like 1 or 2 levels a day. Now it's like I'm getting, like, if I'm lucky, I'm getting like a third of a level, half a level a day. So it's definitely slowing down to the point where like my original goal was to get to 60 by November, because that's when my clan was gonna start, my guild was gonna start raiding Molten Core and all the end gear stuff. But even now, I'm like, I'm 17 levels away, but I'm like, I don't know if I can do that by November 1st, especially with other stuff I'm playing. So, I mean, I'm still enjoying it, but it's definitely slowing down as far as progression, at least.
Is it, even with the slow progression, like towards the end, is it, I'm trying to think of the word, like, is it
fun is the word you're looking for? Fun?
Maybe fun.
I feel like you're like struggling
rewarding.
to say.
That's the
do
word.
You like
is
this?
It rewarding? Like, yes, I finally leveled up. Like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, it is. I mean, part of the problem is, especially because of its World of WoW Classic, you don't have those kind of great dungeon finders where you can just kind of enter and say, I want to do this dungeon, and you hit it right away. It can be kind of just like a painful, slow slog to even get a group to do a dungeon that you want to do. It can take you like 30, 40 minutes just to find people and to get to the entrance of the dungeon. But on the other side of that coin, when you finally do like beat a dungeon for the first time and you get like 5 quests filled and you get this like you get the new drop that drops off this really hard boss, and no one else in your team wants it, or you roll and beat them on it, it's super rewarding and like exciting to get that new loot still. So I mean, it's just kind of you have to be able to kind of put up with that. How long it takes to travel places and how long it takes to get groups for these high level dungeons.
It's real travel too, right? It's no longer like like fast travel? You actually have to like go here and wait.
Yeah, you have like a port that you can use at one place, so you can put it to your like kind of hometown, and then every hour you can use one port. And then luckily I'm a mage, so there's like 3 major cities, and I actually, because I'm a mage, I can teleport to those, but most people can't. So the rest of the time you're just like using flight paths to 5-10 minutes of just like sitting on a flight path waiting.
That's where you've been playing. Like,
yeah,
on your
and
phone
then just
on the
like
side.
and then just running from one side of the map to the other. So it is a little bit frustrating when you're like, I want to play for an hour. But I mean, if you play for an hour, you almost can't do that much unless you want to just kind of like go kill some mobs and go off solo. But it's just like if you want to do like one of the quick 30-minute dungeons, you're gonna need at least like 90 minutes to kind of get everything else sorted out, find a group, get there.
So that's
make sure everything's
so
good.
once you sit down and play that game, it's like you're committed. Like you
you can't play for like 30 minutes even at a time. I mean, you can, but you're gonna have to just fight mobs and do like random side quests on yourself, which is fun too. But I mean, it can be a little monotonous after a while.
I can see how that is. I mean, I have zero experience with World of Warcraft. It was never my type of game, but I can completely understand playing something like The Witcher. I needed to sit down and be like, all right, what the hell is going on? I have all this like gear. What the heck do I do?
Yeah.
Where do I go? What is my next objective of like, should I get this armor set? Should I work on this? So I just kind of like needed to sit and then be like, all right, I need to figure this out. I need to know where I need to go and not just waste time. On top of that, because when I was playing it on like the most difficult, the difficulty like Death March, so I really did not want to waste any time or, ammo or whatever it was, especially healing items. Jesus Christ, healing items. On any foes. So half the time I'd be like, all right, I gotta go here, but I gotta avoid this. So I can imagine World of Warcraft is the same way, except take the time of deciding how you or where you're going with that is setting up with other players.
Yeah,
I feel like it's mostly in the queue, and probably I don't know if you have to like set like everything to it like a key thing. Keying this is for queue, like quick buttons, I think they're called.
Yeah,
like
I mean for all your spells and things like that.
So that's probably a lot of like time management, figuring that stuff out,
especially with like professions and crafting and like how you want to make your character, how you want to get gold. Like you can get a mount at level 40, and I'm level 43, and I don't have one because they're so expensive.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so it's just like such a pain.
Oh right, I remember you saying something like, "Oh, I have like 80 gold," and I was like, "That doesn't sound like much,or something like that." And they're like, "Oh, well, it's this silver gold."
You need about 100 gold, and I have 30 right now. So it's like I'm not doing a very good job of saving, but we'll whatever. We'll see. I'll get it. I'll get my mount eventually. I think. I hope.
That'll be the at least the first end game, and then it's the question of whether you make it to 16, do the raids or whatever the level cap is.
Yeah, level 60 is the level cap. And that's when you can do like the raids. Okay. Molten Core is the big one right now.
But anything else than the Borderlands and World of Warcraft?
Yes.
Ooh, all right. What else? Ooh.
I can talk for days.
All right. Man. What else? What else?
So actually, the day we're recording this, Wednesday, Mario Kart Tour for
No, I think we're past that point.
Mario Kart Tour for the phone.
Right.
Phone,
yes.
If you have an Android or an iPhone, it just came out. I played. It's been kind of a busy day for me, so I've only had a chance to play like maybe 30 minutes of it. And it doesn't seem great. So a lot of the monetization is kind of a pain. Obviously you can like specifically like buy, there's like a $20 pack that you can buy to get like one of the high level, there's 3 tiers of characters. It's one of the high level characters and some other stuff. But the real pain is like, there's a $5 like monthly subscription that you can buy. And it's like, you'll get better gear from the cups that you win, which isn't too bad, but it's like this battle pass for a game that's on a phone, and it's $5 a month. So you're paying $60 a year for that. And it's just better items. So at first you might think, all right, that's not too bad. But the worst part is it locks 200cc behind that pay gate. So you can't even play like on the fastest mode unless you're paying them $5 a month, which is such a super pain. In the game itself, it's so you're not pressing anything to go forward. All you're doing is pressing left and right to go, basically, and then you're pressing to use your weapons too. But it's kind of a pain. So first thing you do is you decide if you want to do regular controls or drift controls. Regular controls is just like, you point left, you go left. Drift controls is you just drift the entire time. So you're kind of like always drifting, which is kind of hard in itself. But that's kind of the harder expert way to play, because that's the only way you can get boosts. from drifting. So that's the way I've been playing it, but it feels very squirrely because you can't really just regularly drive and take a turn. You have to just drift everywhere, and it just doesn't feel very natural. And on top of that, so it's to use one of your weapons, or items, you have to press the screen. So if you're drifting and you let go, you'll stop drifting and you'll lose your boost. But then if you want to use your button while you're drifting, you like basically can't. You'll have to choose if you want to keep drifting or
you can't do it with a second like finger or something.
I don't think so. Yeah, it's just been super hard for me to figure out quickly. And it's just kind of it just doesn't control very well. It looks very nice. So all the characters, they don't seem super different. Now it's strange, like when you get an item box, typically you'll get like one item, but each character has different courses that they're good at. So like there'll be maybe one or two courses that they're really good at, and then what that basically means, as far as I can tell so far, is if like you're in the top tier of for a course with a specific character, you get 3 items every time you go to an item box. So you get like 3 shells or two and a banana, and then there's like 5 or 6 courses that you get 2 shells, 2 items, and then there's the rest of them you'll just get 1 item. So that way, like before you enter a race, you can kind of pick which character, cart, and like carousel you want, and they each have those 3 tiers where I think the carousels, you get like more points for having a better carousel for that specific course. So like each course you have to pick them, and it almost feels like none of the characters are specifically like super powerful, which I guess is kind of a good thing. Like they all have their courses that maybe they're a little bit better at, but it's not really like, oh, this character is just better at everything for every course. So it seems to kind of incentivize you getting a lot of different characters as opposed to just like leveling up one to a super high degree, because they're, as far as I can tell, the only big difference between them right now is just how many items you get to use, and then I'm not sure what the cart difference is, but that's another thing that you can get. Like, and so you get rewards for beating cups, and then you get like gems that you can use for like pulling on random. This random pipe that just will shoot out, say, a random character or a random carousel or a cart, and it just seems kind of lame.
It kind of. I saw that. I was remotely interested, but I don't know, something about that game.
I mean, it's worth downloading and trying. It's free. It's so. I mean, it does look really nice. It looks like a game that you would see on like a Wii or a Wii U almost. Like it looks really pretty. The matches are kind of 2 laps. They take only like maybe 2 minutes to beat. So it's just kind of a quick thing. What you want to do if you're just like bored. I don't know. You're sitting on a toilet or something. You can play a race. It's just kind of a shame that I'm really annoyed that they blocked that 200, because that's not just cosmetics.
That's part of the game.
Even like you can level up your characters and your card and your carousel by using them. I haven't really sussed out exactly what that means, how much better they get. Like I know there's small attributes, like at a higher level you get a higher chance to frenzy, and I think when frenzies is like when you get it's basically like a golden mushroom, basically, like you turn super powerful for a little bit. So there's just like little incentives to upgrading them there, but it's just,
are they pay to win like mechanics a little bit?
I almost don't think it is, because
you said level up, and then I immediately thought, oh god, so if I go into this game in a month and then people are level 10, what is they?
Oh, this is an important thing. It's a completely single player game, and they're kind of,
there's no multiplayer.
There's no multiplayer.
Oh, all right, that automatically just makes it so much better, because I just figured a lot of people are just sitting there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, I think more people wanted it to be multiplayer because Mario Kart's such a multiplayer centric thing. But kind of like you, I mean, I didn't really mind that it was single player, just because like I don't want to be getting wrecked by like getting frustrated by losing all these matches
on top
over
of that,
and over.
The people paying for
exactly. If there's different cart levels and things like that.
Once you said level, and I go, oh god, does that mean like you're gonna come in and somebody's gonna automatically, what you said, something about like they have 3 choices of items compared to
exactly.
1. I was like, that sounds like sounds like a boost, and
it's a pain. So what was I saying? Okay, there's different levels. What was I just
200cc thing block behind something?
Yes. Oh no, the multiplayer. So there's no multiplayer. Sorry, I just completely froze there for a second. But when you enter a game, it'll actually load up like other characters with other names. So when I first started, I saw like a bunch of like screen names, and like a bunch of them were like Japanese characters. So it was like, oh, I must be playing against some Japanese players and some people from Asia or something like that. and you're actually playing against, I don't know if it's their ghosts or anything like that. It doesn't seem like it because like I was always coming in first, so I imagine I wouldn't always come in first. So I feel like it's kind of disingenuous in that it doesn't really tell you that it's not a multiplayer game. Like it doesn't say it anywhere, and it leads you to believe that there are other character players there, but it's absolutely not. It's just kind of you playing by yourself, which is strange.
Yeah, it sounds like a leaderboard kind of.
Yeah.
Like a digital, or a visual leaderboard. Like you can see like, oh, well, he's right here. Because I remember some of the previous Mario Karts had that. Like if you would do a time thing and then it would lock in as at that time. And then if you wanted to try and beat it,
Yeah.
it was basically a ghost of yourself. You couldn't bump into him or anything. But, it would show you like, oh, if you end up passing him or whatever, you can get a better record than what you did previously, and it like saves them and stuff.
Yeah, it seems like there's tours that it looks like they happen every 2 weeks. So you can actually, if you get that gold pass, that $5 a month thing, you get like free for 2 weeks. So if you want to just try it out and see if you like it, and then just make sure you cancel beforehand, that's what I plan on doing. I'm just gonna play it for 2 weeks, make sure I cancel it because it's definitely doesn't seem like it's worth playing money. So the first cup is like the New York one, so there's going to be a special, I think, New York map, and then like Rosalina is the special character for this tour or whatever. So I think it's kind of making, I imagine after this, she's like a high tier character. After this 2 weeks is up, I'm assuming they're going to like take her out of the rotation or make her less common, even though she's already rare. Yeah. So it's like I'm not sure how that works, if like you can only get her at this point or if they're going to bring her back around at some other time, because they're doing these every 2 weeks. I would imagine they would just maybe like in a few months they'll bring her back for another 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, or but if you buy a certain pass, maybe you get them all. Yeah,
it's kind of a bummer that they're like, oh yeah, if you buy a bunch of gems now, you can maybe try and get her before the 2 weeks is up. But yeah, it's a game.
I mean, once you said it was single player, I was like, I'm tempted to download at that point and kind of do the leaderboards, because I just get way too frustrated. I played Mario Kart 8 multiplayer, and I felt like I was just like spinning out of control because people just kept hitting me, and it was just way too frustrating. So I was like, all right, I'm not playing this multiplayer. But once like I said, single player, that actually sounds kind of fun. Like I said, 2-minute races.
Yeah, it's nice. It's just it's a shame that the monetization is kind of a pain, and that stupid 200cc lockout is really frustrating. $5. This game's not worth $5 a month.
Is it bad that I expect that out of every phone game?
Yeah, it's a pain. I was actually reading up on this, and actually the Super Mario Run Chase game that was like, you pay $10 and you get the full game, and I guess that didn't really make any money from Nintendo, which was like their one time where they were like, oh, let's make a game that's actually fair and good. And I mean, not that it's a great game, but at least you can just pay $10 and get the full game without any of this nonsense. But I guess that doesn't work. So shame on us for not buying that and buying a million dumb little gems in this Mario Kart game. I'm sure this game's gonna make billions. So
of course it always does. I feel like anything Nintendo puts out, you could put out a Nintendo toilet and it would sell like hotcakes. Which is the other thing too, is I've seen so many news articles about the Nintendo Lite and like how awesome it is. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's slightly smaller. I mean,
I just don't get it. Like I just immediately,
even the screen's a little smaller, which I wouldn't like.
Yeah, I mean,
unless you want to be really portable, I guess.
I just think the biggest takeaway from it, like, is that it doesn't have detachable Joy-Cons. That's a killer. I mean, I guess if you could connect Joy-Cons to it, but what the hell would be the point of that? I can't believe like this is.
Can you connect? Yeah, I'm just wondering how you would play. Can you even play multiplayer on that thing? Because if you're playing with, you'd have to connect other people's Joy-Cons to it.
I don't even know. Like I just, there's so many things that I would need to get my hands on it to see like why. And I mean, I guess if this is really pulling in like the last of the 3DS crowd, I mean, kudos to them. But I just don't. If you have the space, if you have. But I still don't know who this targets. Like, because the Switch is so portable and so, like, if you have a TV in your room, you can just connect it to your room. Even if you don't, if you're a kid, if you're 10 or whatever, it's still a nice big screen that you don't even need a big television in your room.
I mean, I guess that just fits like a nice casual market that is not us, especially like maybe in the city. I guess it would be nice if you're sitting on the train. I mean, at that point, I would just use a regular Switch because that's the whole point of the Switch. But
not only that, some of the carrying cases I've seen, because you can take the Joy-Cons off and you can make it pretty small. Yeah, it's a little bit thick, but I mean, it's still. I don't know. It's selling well. I mean, again, I shouldn't. Why? It's Nintendo. Why should I be shocked at this? But anything else on your playable list?
I can keep going.
Jesus. All right, I'll give you one more, and then I want to talk about one. But go ahead, one more.
Well, this isn't really a game. This is a ton of games. I got the Sega Genesis Mini.
Okay, all right. This doesn't count. That's one thing. Go ahead. All right, this is the Sega Classic, right?
Yeah, the Sega Genesis Mini. I'm actually really enjoying it. So I've gotten kind of all of these. I got the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the PlayStation. I feel like this is maybe the best.
I have to see this thing before I leave at some point,
maybe
too.
this might be the best put together one. It's got 2 controllers. It's only the 3-button controllers, which is a little bit of a downside. But I mean, I'm not really into fighting games, which is I feel like the only time you would really need it in this game. But it's been fun playing a lot of these classic games that I like. So I've been playing a lot of Vector Man, Sonic 3D Spinball, and so when you start it up, it has like I think better than any of the other systems. It has like a list of all the 42 games. You can kind of scroll through them really fast because it's not just like left to right. It's like it's diagonal and horizontal.
Oh,
so it's
neat,
like a big. It's like a big
That's
page.
smart. That's smart.
Yeah, and you can just scroll down. There's more. It fits on more than one page, but it definitely you can see them better. And you can sort them by, it has like the box cover art in the front, and you can sort them by like alphabet, you can sort them by genre, you can sort them by like how many players the game is, if it's like 1 or 2 players, which I feel like is really nice if you're like playing with a friend, you can just quickly figure out what games are going to be.
Scrolling through and seeing all the info.
Yeah, and so the music was made by, I forget his name, but it's one of the, like a famous composer that did a lot of Sega music, and it's really good. It just sounds like a song that could be in like a regular Sonic game or like one of their.
Oh, it has menu music and stuff?
It has like a really nice menu music.
Oh, that's
where it's like
really
I don't
cool.
want to select a game because this is so nice. Just listen
nice.
to this like weird retro Sonic-y sounding, like definitely Sega game music that uses that same chip system and everything
feels
like
comes
that.
Right out of the Sega.
Yeah, exactly. So the games, they've been playing great. I did have one problem while I was playing Vector Man. The game like froze and it just like crashed and I couldn't get it to start. But I feel like that was just more of a, it was playing Vector Man correctly, and Vector Man probably freezes every once in a while because it's an old Sega game.
Yeah, that's true.
It didn't feel like it was the Mini's fault exactly. But besides that, it's been running smoothly. I've been enjoying and playing it. If you like those lists of games, I would say, yeah, it's definitely worth the, $70-$80 or whatever it was.
I'm at some point I'm going to be
tiny,
tempted.
yeah. It looks
I'm going to
cute.
be very tempted to buy it for a number of reasons. One is that I have way too many hookups with all of my old systems, and it's just a pain in the ass to switch them all up and to hook them all up.
Yeah.
And at this point, you just have the classics. Like a few of my favorite games are on there: Streets of Rage 3, and my ultimate favorite is Contra Hardcore. Is at my absolute favorite Sega game. I remember like renting that so many friggin' times. I'm pretty sure I paid for it like twofold.
Yeah, it's another
from
funny
renting
thing.
It.
Like, there's 42 games on this, and like I never played the Contra game, and there's a bunch of good games that I never played, but I'm still just kind of reverting back to like the 5 games that I love the most, which is funny. It's like, like I could be playing these new games, but no, I'll just play Vector Man again. Let's play Kid Chameleon for the 50th time.
Oh, absolutely. I do that with the SNES. I go right to Super Mario World. I'm just like, oh, let's see if it works, and I'm like, oh yeah. Next thing you know, you're halfway through the game. It's like, oh crap, maybe I should play something else I haven't beaten.
Yeah, Andy was telling me he was going to buy it. He thinks like when it gets a little cheaper, but I don't think it'll get cheaper because like the PlayStation got cheap fast because it sucked and no one wanted it. But like, like this is gonna
holidays coming around.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo and stuff, they didn't really go down in price at all. I don't imagine this will go down anytime soon, just because it's like it's a well-made product. So I don't see like people just not buying it for whatever reason. But
maybe, I don't know. I'm hoping somebody will be like, oh, I bought this. My kid hates it. He thought it was a new system. $20. Okay. I mean, I also hate that because I would like to give the money to Sega, but it's just $80. I can't get myself to pay $80 for it. I've been trying to cut down on. I've had so many pre-orders that I've had to not pick up because I'm like, even though the game has done really, really well, I either don't have the time or I can't get myself to really, buy it for some reason. I mean, maybe that's a good thing.
There's a gluttony of games to buy. Like I still want to buy the Link's Awakening that just came out. I still haven't tried Control. I'm even like Untitled Goose Game. I don't know if you've seen that the cute little
I've heard
game
so
where
many
you can,
things
where you can
about
play
that.
as a
It looks
goose. Like
so goofy.
There's so many fun little games I want to play, but I just don't have the time.
But like Code Vein comes out in 2 days, and it's supposed to be like an anime version of like Dark Souls, and I mean that always gets me suckered in. But I'm gonna hold off. Contra Rogue Core. Speaking of Contra, just got some reviews, and they're in the 50s.
Yeah.
So I've heard some really horrible things about that. So at that point, I'm going to hold off. I had Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon pre-ordered, but I'm not going to get it. Just check the previous friggin' podcast. You'll understand why. And then Medieval, on top of, Matt, what you just said, I saw some gameplay and I was like, it looks like you need to have the nostalgia to want to play it, because it just looks kind of like a generic hack and slash for us who have not played it. Again, Crash Bandicoot might look like a generic
that's
platformer to other people. Same thing with like Banjo-Kazooie might look like that.
I'm sure if you're looking forward to it, it's going to be a blast
and
for
I'm
you.
sure it'll be fantastic. But I'm going to hold off on that. Well, on top of that, Call of Duty and Outer Worlds comes out. So I've been trying to be a little bit more frugal and not buying every goddamn thing that comes out.
Stuff coming out though.
But I will say, I know Andy's not here, but he owes me next week that when he comes back to play the horn thing again, because I beat another game.
Woo, we're game.
I've managed to beat Control.
Nice.
And
tell me about it. How was it? I mean, I think you've already talked about it a little bit.
Have you beat Alan Wake?
No, I haven't.
You have not.
I played Alan Wake, but I fell off of it pretty quickly.
My head at the end of that game hurt. Like it was spinning. Like I loved it because no, it was so like, what the hell is going on? Like it's just so confusing, and there's so many terms that they're using, and light and darkness, and
so like the end of Metal Gear 2.
The end of Metal Gear, something about Metal Gear Solid 2. I don't know. He always Hideo. I know. I have this love-hate relationship with some of his games. But, in the end, Metal Gear Solid has and will probably always be my favorite franchise. But something about the way he does storytelling is amazing. And this game has an amazing story. It's just so confusing. There's so many terms that they throw out that you have to really go, okay, wait. Oh, God, what is the title? The place, the Federal Bureau, it's basically like the head of like this government thing. I'm not going to get into any spoilers, but each thing in the game has like a term that the scientists like use, and like they keep using the term the old house. The old house is actually the bureau. It's just another. But when you're reading something or someone is speaking at you and they're saying, "Oh, in the old house," the hiss is attacking, and it's like you have to like almost like a math like problem. Like, all right, subtract or substitute X and Y for the enemy and the house. Okay, I got that. And then the guy's already saying like 4 things like past that. And it's like, whoa, what the hell is going on? And it's a really, like, if you love, like, science, like, sci-fi, and you love, like, kind of not knowing what's going on, and just kind of that whole sci-fi vibe of it about, I don't know what's going on, but I know it's going in a good direction. Like, I really like this. It was fantastic. Like, in the end, I actually, my wife was pretty pissed off because I was towards the end of the game, and I'm like, I know I'm at the end, and it was like 11 o'clock, and she was like, I need to go to bed. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm beating this. And she's like, I hate you. I was like, I'll show you the end tomorrow. So I beat it, and what a coincidence. She was really pissed off. But I was like, I'll show you the videos and stuff. It was really cool. And the second time I played the video, I think I understood a little bit more like a Metal Gear game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, do you think it would benefit from beating it again or playing through it again? Or
I definitely think so. And on top of that, it has a lot of replayability just because the game was so awesome. There are very few games that during a boss fight that you feel so like powerful and like you're not gonna hit me because I'm so good at like dodging. And it just feels really good towards the end when you have
like all the powers and everything.
The gun style that you want, the modifications that you want to add to your character. If you want to focus towards building health, if you want to focus towards recoil, like if you love one gun but the recoil is too much, it has a lot of replayability, very much like a Resident Evil 2.
There's no gun like New Game Plus, is there? Or like anything you can carry over?
I don't know, because the way it ended, it was like it threw me back to do a lot of the side stuff. So I'm trying to think of like what game, because Resident Evil 2
like a Far Cry almost.
Just think of because it's not open world. It's more like a Resident Evil 2, but there's a lot of side stuff that you can go into in this like this building because it's massive. So you can just go back, and I haven't checked about New Game Plus because I kind of had to put the controller down and go, what just happened? It's like, did I
collect your thoughts?
Yeah, and I mean, it, like I said, sci-fi, like Metal Gear type of thing. It's not, it wasn't on the level of that, but it was like I said, it was really good. I think you'll enjoy it. The combat is always constant. You're always constantly like, shoot, like I need to always change my tactics because certain enemies are completely immune to this, but they're vulnerable to this, and it kind of makes you, it really makes you want to change up your weapons that you have equipped or the mods you have.
Different weapons are good against different enemies and things
exactly,
like that.
Exactly.
Nice.
And you'll find out like things work much better. Kind of like you said with Borderlands, where you'll be shooting at one enemy with one thing and you're like, what the hell is going on? You know, and then you switch to another weapon, you're like, oh, or you use this ability, and you're like, oh, come on. I should have thought of this like 2 hours ago. But it's so much fun, especially for like the Resident Evil 2 fans that love to backtrack and be like, oh, I'm gonna get everything in this game. I'm not gonna miss one thing. I'm gonna pick up every article. And on top of that, if you love super confusing games, this is for you. But it was fun. Like I said, it had my wife and I. Really going like, wait a minute, who's the bad guy? Like, who did this? Why would they do this? What is going on? And like I said, another thing, like if you loved Alan Wake, this is, again, same people that made it, but if you like Alan Wake, I highly recommend this game for you.
Yeah, I really want to play it. It's on my list of games I have to play.
If you don't feel like renting it, I can just let you borrow it. I want to get your.
Not gonna say no to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I will gladly let you borrow it because knowing you'll beat it in like a day.
Yeah, I gotta beat it before.
The only hesitation, I give you a borrow because you'll friggin' platinum it. I'll be like, damn it, he platinumed it in half the amount of time that it took me to beat the actual game. But yeah, it was great. I highly recommend it for sci-fi people. People that love like third person, like, action games. It was cool. It was really cool.
Nice.
So, beat that. And then, like I said, I'm mainly just kind of trying to, play through Borderlands. I'm just having a blast with that. Every time I see a side mission pop up, I'm like, oh, I want to do this just because the story's kind of fun. And, I just started meeting a lot of the other characters.
Yeah, the side missions are pretty fun.
They're
fully fleshed out. Like there's new characters and there's like new little stories to them, and they're just kind of like, it's not just like collect these 7 things.
Yeah, and it really feels like a trilogy too, because it's like, oh, I completely forgot about this character.
Yeah.
As someone who played most of the other ones, I didn't beat 1, I didn't beat pre-sequel, but I beat 2, and I know all the famous characters and stuff like that. But those 2 I've really been enjoying the heck out of. But was there any other games that you wanted to talk to? That was
no, that was the 48 games I had. That's it.
So so if we want to get into our topic of the day, this was or topic of the week or whatever.
Discussion
topic. Sorry, Andy, I've probably let you down. That's all right. But so it'll be sequels that made the previous title in the franchise. I have unplayable, but not unplayable, but it was just so much better. Like it was leaps and bounds better than the previous game that it almost makes it so hard to go back and play the previous one. Matt, if you want to start us off, I did get a text from Andy. He was like, "Oh, you need to throw this out there for me." So at some point, I
have a few of them, but I want to say a little caveat before I mention any of these. Most of these are games that I really enjoy, even the first ones. Like they're good games. That's why this is such a tragic discussion, like almost sad discussion.
Well, that's why, like just the play, maybe the playability, or you keep going back.
Yeah, it's not a knock on the older one necessarily.
Exactly.
It's kind of a testament to how good the second one is. But so some of them, we were actually talking earlier about Uncharted. That's one of the ones I was thinking of.
Oh, that actually makes sense.
Yeah, the first Uncharted game I felt like was like very generic. Kind of, it was a fun game, but it was like, okay, it's a not as good version of Tomb Raider. I felt like
absolutely, I could totally see that.
It just how much better it got from the second to the second one was like kind of mind blowing. Like it's the characters are deeper. It looks much nicer. Like the action, even like the kind of puzzles and the traversing the landscape is a lot more interesting, and all of the rest. So another one I was going to say was Resident Evil 1 if you ever played the original, like Resident Evil 2 was my kind of favorite Resident Evil game growing up.
Really? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and Resident Evil 1, putting aside the remake version of it, it's just the first one. It's just very slow.
Oh,
it's
I'm thinking the HD remake to
No,
2.
that one's
Right,
still good.
the first one.
But if you ever play
was-
like on the PlayStation, that first one, it's pretty
Yes,
slow.
it
It's like
is really
it's like
clunky.
the combat's super clunky. Like there's not even a lot of zombies in that game. It's just like it's
Yeah, there really isn't. Now that I
there's
think
just
about it.
yeah, it's just so hard to deal with them mainly because of the controls and the lack of like any sort of ammo or anything they give to you. It's like it's really hard to go back to that even just from 2, which just plays so much nicer. The other one I was gonna say was Witcher 2.
Yes,
Witcher,
absolutely.
Like I tried to get into The Witcher 2, but I just couldn't really get it. I always fell off after 10 or so hours. And the same thing actually happened to Witcher 3 for the first few times, but I finally got into it, and now like I could never go back to how much better it plays, how much fuller the game is, how much bigger of like an open world that you can just kind of search anything, how much nicer the characters are, and how just amazing everything about it is. And the last one I was thinking of was, and this one's probably going to get people annoyed, is Sonic the Hedgehog. Like the second Sonic game is so much better than the first one.
I can see that.
There's a lot of great.
That's not the. I always get this confused, but is it Sonic 2? Is that the one with when Knuckles was introduced?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I agree. I totally agree.
Anytime you
Hands
play the
down.
first one, like it has some good music and stuff, but most of those worlds, like especially like the water temple world, like it's just like kind of a slog to get through. It's just not as fun as the second one. It's just not. There's not as much to do. So I mean, it's a game that I enjoy playing, but if I ever have those two in my hand, I would always play the second one first.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I can totally see that because I remember one of the first like memories of like Sonic was I remember going over to a friend's house and he had that cartridge and it had the little Sonic ball and then it had the red guy and I was like, wait a minute. Sonic has a friend. It was always that stupid Tails guy, or sorry for the people that love Tails, but I was just like, oh, Tails is kind of like that quirky sidekick. And then they had this like,
Knuckles.
badass looking character at the time. And he was like, oh, his name's Knuckles. And it was like, oh, he's kind of like, he kind of reminded me of that Mega Man guy where you didn't know if he was like a bad guy or not. He has like those like sunglasses or whatever.
Zero?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know if he was a bad guy or a good guy. And it was kind of like, oh, like this dude
dark
looks really
brooding.
cool. Exactly. Like, and I was like, oh, this is kind of neat.
Badass.
And yeah, and I just, from there, I was always like, oh, I always want to play 2 because I always owned 1. So it was kind of like boring to me. Like, oh, 2 was that like legendary one that I never owned.
Yeah.
But no, 2 was very, very good.
What about you? What do you...
I was going to say, well, actually, before my phone dies, Mr. Andy over here texted me and let me know what his choice was. And his was a very good choice as well. And his is Assassin's Creed 2. And I would completely
that's a good
agree.
one. I would say, like, for me, the whole first part of that series, like, up until any of them before the last 2, I couldn't really get into, but...
Yeah, I thought Brotherhood was good too, but he was saying that, because I remember him talking about Assassin's Creed 1, that he found it very repetitive and it just wasn't fun for him. But he was saying Assassin's Creed 2, he said so much to the point where I use it as an example for when a sequel fixes like virtually everything wrong with its predecessor. And
Nice.
I know that always is pretty much his game that he says like, oh, it fixed so many things from the first one. And I would, like I said, I would completely agree with him that 2 definitely was much better. I felt like the map, going to Italy was awesome. Becoming the assassin was pretty cool instead of just like being this guy that's like, oh, jump off a building because we can. Okay. Like,
Yeah, it's a bummer that 1 soured me so much to these other games that I didn't even really give them a chance.
yeah, I mean, I can
Before,
completely see that.
Origins.
I remember beating the first one over again. I was like, you're right. This game was very repetitive. And it's like, do this, kill. Do this, kill. And actually, it kind of seems that Ubisoft hasn't changed that formula. They just kind of made it like, oh, here's a giant triangle of enemies, and
No,
if
do
you
it in the
kill,
future. No, do it in the Wildlands.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it with Watch Dogs, and then we'll do it with what's it called, Far Cry, and it just seems like that's Ubisoft's like bread and butter is just make a tier of enemies, and you can't kill him until you kill him, and you can't, But yeah, so Andy's was Assassin's Creed 2 compared to Assassin's Creed 1, and I have a few of mine.
All right, bring it on.
And the first would be, it actually could be even a company rather than just a like one series in particular, but it would have to be the Fallout games or the Elder Scrolls games. So ever since I've played Elder Scrolls Skyrim, I'm not going to go with Elder Scrolls Online just because it felt like a completely different experience and it wasn't something that I enjoyed. But going from Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, playing that and just seeing the amount of updates that they did so the animations, the dialogue, the amount of like character, like customization you could do in that game,
and just like the quality of life with the quest markers and everything like that.
Just the aesthetic itself, like the world, the dragons, the enemies, being able to like really customize your weapon, where you could put like, like spells on them. And towards the end of the game, you could have like 2 spells on the thing. So, your bow and arrow would be ridiculous. You do like frozen damage, and then you deal like, stamina damage to the point where they couldn't run. And then even when they unfroze themselves, they didn't have any stamina, so they'd end up walking. So it was kind of like overpowered towards the end of the game. But it played so much better. You could play it in third person so much better than the previous titles. And I know that that's my big thing. I love, being able to see the characters and stuff like that. And trying to play Oblivion in third person is a chore, like, to say the least. And on top of that, like, if you ever see like animations of like people talking back and forth of like, oh, I'd like to get a quest, and your character's like, looking around like or the person you're talking to, their mouth looks like it's just unhinged and like going all over the place. And obviously from the time that game come out, that was, next gen, but it's just so hard to go back to that game. Same thing with Fallout 4 and, going back to Fallout 3 or New Vegas. Just the way it plays in third person. I mean, I would even say New Vegas to Fallout 3, being able to aim down the sights was something you couldn't do in Fallout 3. And I know they weighed heavily, utilizing the VAT system. But I always felt like that was kind of cheating in a way. But especially in Fallout 4, because I felt like the gameplay was just so much fun. It felt like just like a great third person game. I know it felt a little clunky, but it still felt like the huge step from New Vegas to 4. I thought was massive, as well as like I said, being able to customize pretty much the same thing that Elder Scrolls 5 did to Oblivion, Fallout 4 did to New Vegas. They updated the graphics, which still kind of are murky to even when it came out. I remember seeing like the first NPC that when you get in the vault, it's like, whoa, God,
still looks like a 6-year-old game
ugly.
somehow.
To the point where there's mods that you can update her face that like make the first person not ugly. And that was another thing too. They added mods to the game, so if there was something that you really didn't like, or you're like, I want to update the graphics a little bit, or I want to remove little details in the grass or whatever because it's making the frame rate terrible. You were able to do that in Fallout. So just like I said, everything in Skyrim and Fallout was just huge step up. And I know this is going back to one of my favorite franchises, but it's really hard for me to go back and play Metal Gear Solid 1.
Really?
The original one compared to even Twin Snakes for GameCube. I can't do it. I'm absolutely horrific at it, and yet the one on the
really,
Twin
I love
Snakes,
going back to that one.
I mean, I like it just for the nostalgia purposes, but I can't play it. I'm absolutely horrific. And Twin Snakes, it's just even with like having to aim in first person and then shoot and then go back to third person, I'm like I still like this so much better. just because I know what I'm aiming at, and just those tank controls like Resident Evil 1, kind of what you're saying. It was kind of, I felt like in Metal Gear Solid 1, it was just luck whether I hit the enemy or not, especially when you're using like a full like assault rifle or was it the FAMAS? Like you'd shoot and like, it'd be like, and it's like, oh, I'm out of ammo because I just wasted it on, everything, and it thinks it's trying to hit like an enemy behind that wall.
It's even hard when you're just using like melee attacks. If you're just trying to punch them, and it's like, it's hard to even just connect.
Oh yeah,
them. Like
exactly.
How far you have to be, where you have to be pointed. It's kind of rough.
Exactly. So
like where they can even see you.
Exactly. So going from that, it was just so clunky, and not having that like the controls were just so much better on the GameCube than the PlayStation 1, and then going even from Metal Gear Solid 4 to Metal Gear Solid 5, just being able, and I think that's one of the reasons why I keep wanting to give Death Stranding the edge, is that 5 played like literally your character, like you could control everything. Like if you got caught quickly, you could dive behind something. If somebody saw you, you could quickly, crouch into a bush, and it was just so user friendly. It was just so unfortunate that the story for me just really fell flat towards the end, and
that game was a bummer.
It was
a slow burning bummer.
I know, it was just, I give it so much praise just because I love the gameplay of it was just the best. I feel like even a sandbox with no story, that game is so much fun just because you can do so many ridiculous things. You can have your horse poop on the middle of the street and have a car drive by it and spin out of control, and they all get knocked out, and you can steal the vehicle and all the characters in it. I was like, that is absolutely ridiculous. Or you can plant a bomb on an enemy, like a target enemy that you need to, like, what are they? They're high value targets, HVTs. You could plant a bomb on them, and you could have them just walk around, and at any point you could just detonate it. It was just an absolute playground. It was like Just Cause, except with good graphics and a decent story. And even, I'd say decent story, not even, not well. Just Cause is just, it's very, very clunky compared to, and I understand you can do so many things in that game. You can, make an air balloon out of like a car or whatever, but just to the extent that Metal Gear Solid would look so good, it played so good. Just the amount of customization in that game. And that was another thing that's got me, is being able to, I can see a little bit of Death Stranding in the Metal Gear Solid 5, like when you suit up, you had that like, all right, I'm going out for a mission. It's going to be in the desert. I need to set my box that has like the desert camo. I need to have like the desert camouflage like set up. It was just like, really felt like I was like gearing up and going out. Compared to the other game where it just kind of like threw you in. And Metal Gear Solid 4 still did feel kind of a little bit clunky when I went back. Not to say that 4 was still easily my favorite story out of all of them.
Really?
Yeah, just the way it tied everything in a knot at the end for me. I've never like, always towards that end with a like 2.5 hour like cutscene, I like put the controller down, and
that's crazy.
I still love it. And I do hope Death Stranding on the other side does have this as well.
I feel like everyone has a different favorite Metal Gear game. Like I go back and forth between like 1 and 2 and 3 a lot. Like I feel like 4 might be my least favorite, but that's probably because I've only played it once because I didn't have a PS3 at the time. 3. Yeah.
I was gonna say no. I just something about 4. Because I got into Metal Gear late.
That ending was great though.
Oh my god, I absolutely loved it. Just everything tied in. They didn't really leave anything. There was obviously some things that people want to nitpick, but it was one of the first ones that I was in shock and awe. And now, towards the end of any game that I play, unfortunately, I compare it to that. Like, did it make my jaw drop? Was it, nope. That great? Will I remember this? And, Metal Gear Solid 4 still to this day, the ending, like, still sticks with me. And I can go and, like, watch the YouTube videos on it. But, yeah, it just, the only reason I can go back and play the Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, and it's just because the story was
I was gonna say, when I go
good.
back, like I enjoy those. I play those every once in a while, but I feel like it's mostly just because the story is so interesting. Like it's just nice to go back to those characters and like actually see Snake and see that storyline from the beginning. And it's nice even when you go back and play the first one. That was that was a decently chunky sized game when you first played it. But if you know what you're doing, you can finish that game in like 2
4
hours.
Yeah,
you just
like
finish it in a couple hours if you just kind of skip the cutscenes and just run through it too, which is kind of. It's nice. It's like nice that it's kind of a smaller game.
It also just proves to me like those cutscenes really do like build the story. I loved always, and I don't know if you played the Twin Snakes one.
I did, yeah.
You did. I would always love when I would get to the Gray Fox area.
Yeah, that was
like
crazy.
that when he goes into that friggin' hallway and just murders everyone, just maliciously, just hacks everyone to pieces. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, this is like so creepy, but so cool. It's that sci-fi kind of thing to it. Yeah, I absolutely love the cutscenes in that game. And I absolutely love going back. Every Metal Gear has that moment of like that one cutscene that I'm like, all right, I'll put the controller down and I will just gladly friggin', do it over again. One of them was with like Ocelot, Metal Gear Solid 3. I loved like the first time he meets him and he's still kind of cocky to Big Boss and Big Boss is like, dude, you're not even using the right gun for what you're doing.
That's great.
And he's just so like mad because he's like he's so right. But yeah, it was just it just blows me away. But again, just 5's gameplay and going back to, like I said, Skyrim, every time I'm like, you know what? Why am I playing this game when I'm just going to play the newest one just because it's so much more fun to play? Again, story-wise, yes, that's not necessarily true, as we know from Metal Gear Solid 5 was the worst for mine, but so that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best story.
Definitely not.
So, yeah. But yeah, so... Is there anything else you wanted to add, or any thoughts?
I've said all my thoughts about
week?
all my games. Can't wait for.
What's the next game that you're looking forward to, or that you're getting? Are you getting Death Stranding? That's
yes,
the other thing.
I mean, I'm trying to think.
Sorry, is that more of day one? What is that word? Fear of missing out, or
the happening?
The happening. That's it.
That's me having to be part of the happening. Like I have to play that game just because I was such a big fan of the Metal Gear games, and I have to see what the heck this is. I could see a scenario where like we get on the podcast 5 days after it's released or whatever, and I'm like, this game's not fun. I don't like this. This is just a stupid walking simulator. Or it could go the completely other way. Like, this was all a lie. It's Metal Gear 6. Like, who knows?
Exactly.
Like, I have no idea what to expect.
I just fear with that. So I'm hoping, and every day I'm looking for like more information.
I mean,
there's
still a lot of games I want to play. I want to play Control, like I said. I want to play Link's Awakening. So it's like
I will get that for you next week, or I will get that to Andy so you can play it. Like I said, it's not a long campaign too. It only took me probably about 14 hours.
Oh, it's not
and
bad.
knowing you, probably like 10. And you'll platinum it in 10.
Ooh, we'll have to see what the trophies are.
So, a lot of them were the challenges too. Like you can set up challenges kind of like Destiny, like kill this many with a headshot. But anyway, well, if that's it, thank you guys for tuning in. I know, unfortunately, this has been weird because we lost our host this week. But hopefully we did
let
him.
Dan host. Oh
I know, we let me, the guy that just got his voice back too. But hopefully I held up my end of the bargain. But again, thank you for.
He'll be back next week.
Yeah, he'll be back next week. So
so we'll be fine.
The backup quarterback came in this week, and hopefully the starter's coming back. But anyway, where can we find you, sir?
You
Matt?
can find me at Matt Talks Games on the Twitter.com account.
All right, you can find Andy at Highland Andy on Twitter. And you can find myself at Game Review Guy, and also you can find our Twitter at manabarpodcast on Twitter. And so this is the Collector and the Trophy Hunter signing off.
Bye.